Coming back to you, Mr. Rahim Sarwan, you have been known as one of those journalists who've been really close to Ashraf Ghani, and you have traveled with him multiple times that we know, and some of those incidents and places which are of great prominence. So help us understand that how do you see from Ghani's prism that how this visit is and how this is going to help both countries?
Well, I think President Ghani was definitely looking to this visit to have a different result. The Afghan government in recent days, they were looking for Imran Khan trip to Kabul two different ways. First, they were thinking that Imran Khan visit will have an impact on peace process. Right now, we have the peace process in Doha. Both negotiations teams, they are in deadlock situation. Today there was a report come out, and the report was that both sides will sit again and resume the talks, and they will resolve the differences. But Imran Khan, today's message was very, very clear, and he said that Pakistan, whatever they can do, they will do for the reduction in violence in Afghanistan. And he asked President Ghani that if he needs his support, Pakistan's support, that they will do it, beyond their expectations. So that was a clear message from the Prime Minister Imran Khan. And Prime Minister Imran Khan expression when he started this speech and his press conference, he said in more than 50 years he was planning to come to Kabul, and finally he came to Kabul and visit Kabul. So that definitely the exchange of views, sitting all together, so make things easier as we see things from the press and media. So Ghani were definitely optimistic for this visit, and beyond the peace process, he was looking another thing, and that was the regional connectivity, economic growth, and Afghan traders have a lot of problems. And there is these concerns with President Ghani, and President Imran Khan team already sent. He sent a team already to Kabul, and they work on technical issues. So from my perspective, that the time that Imran Khan visited Kabul was very important, and both for the peace process and as well for the trade and economic issues.
Right. So you've just mentioned about the peace in Afghanistan, which the both premier have mentioned. We understand that the process will, move further, and then peace will be there. For that, all the stakeholders have to sit and they have to talk and they have to decide, whatever they're going to do in the future, right? So help me understand that where the deadlock is, why there's a deadlock, what are the reasons of the deadlock, and how to come forth and end that deadlock and move further so the process remains there and the peace is there in Afghanistan.
Well, the deadlock was, I think, both teams were looking for the U.S. election. Who win the U.S. election? It's now Joe Biden is elected president of the United States. So both sides were waiting for that. That's why there was a deadlock for months, and there was no progress in that. And the issue, because of the guidelines, was very simple. Keeping the Doha talks that Taliban were emphasized on the agreement with the United States, that should be the key. And Afghan government were deciding to have a low-age jirga. That low-age jirga was a key for them. So I think the deadlock was usually for the U.S. election. Now it's clear, the U.S. election. So now both sides need to enhance the talks, and the role of the Pakistan, that Afghanistan government in this region see the Pakistan role as more than any other country in this region, and as well Qatar role. That's why President Ghani visited Qatar. And last night there was a call between President Ghani and Amir of Qatar. So things are going on today and tomorrow, and in coming days we will witness some news coming out from Doha.
Do you think there will be any change in this peace process because of the change in the Oval Office? Because we know that the Biden administration is there, and they're of course going to take over the Oval Office. There will be any change in this, or this will go as decided?
I think so. There will be change. The Biden, we don't know about him, that what will be his policies toward the Afghan peace process. He didn't say anything in his presidential campaign. President Trump was very clear, and he assigned Zalmay Khalilzad for that. And nobody know during the Biden administration what will be Zalmay Khalilzad's role in that. And Zalmay Khalilzad had more troubles to region, to Pakistan, to Qatar, and that was the deal that he signed with the Taliban. So in Kabul, generally, when you sit with the political analysts, Afghan government, they see the change in Oval Office will have impact on peace process. What will be that? What kind of impact that will be? That's not clear yet.
Right. So coming back to the visit of Prime Minister Imran Khan to Kabul today and back to the country, what kind of messages is going to give to your neighboring countries, India and the Washington? What kind of messages is giving to these both capitals?
Well, in Afghanistan, people here thinking these two countries, United States and Pakistan, have key role in Afghan peace process and as well the continuity or the war that right now going on. So in Kabul, people in general in Afghanistan, people are thinking that Pakistan have some sort of connections with the Taliban, and they can bring them. As today, Prime Minister Imran Khan said that they helped and brought some Talibans to sit with the United States and have a deal. And right now, they facilitate the intra-Afghan dialogue. About the India role in that regard, so India is from long time, they usually support Afghan government stand in that and Afghan own process. So I think Pakistan have key role and they can play a role. And so far they did it for Afghanistan, I mean for the United States as well, and they brought the Taliban in the tables. So now we will see in next months and next phase that when the U.S. election issues over and Biden come to the office and see the United States and Pakistan and as well Afghan government role and Taliban, so that will be clear.
Right. So, Mr. Sirwan, whenever we talk about the peace in Afghanistan, there's a larger, greater history which talks about the violence that has been there in Afghanistan. You talk about the U.S., you talk about the allies of the U.S., you talk about the war crimes. There's a longer list of things. Today, there's this news which shows us the killing of 39 Afghan civilians by the Australian forces from 2009 to 2013. Do you have any idea that what this story is and how this will impact U.S.'s allies and the crime that has happened in this region?
Well, these things happen a lot from different sides of it. It is a war, and from both sides it's happening. Civilian casualty was the main issue. You see, from last 10 years, the United Nations civilian casualty report that they are releasing every year. So you see, there are a lot of casualties happens to civilians. So this is the war. War crimes are happening, but now the time is for peace, and all sides should think that to end this misery and this 4-decade war and to not go further. With the Australians, it happened with other foreign troops that when they were engaged here in Afghanistan in the war. So it happened. Sometimes they did more mistakes, and they conducted some civilian casualties. Later they apologized for that, or they conducted their own investigation. But this is all people are suffering from the crimes, and it's not only for the international forces from the Taliban. They had a lot of civilian casualty happens from the Taliban side as well. So, I mean, this is the war. That's why people are really suffering, and that's why people here yelling for peace, and whatever who bring peace for Afghanistan, people are welcoming.
Right. Thank you so much. We had Mr. Rehim Sarwan.